I found out I was let go via an auto-generated email. No subject line, no explanation, just a one-liner. Your access has been terminated. Contact HR for exit protocol. I blinked at the screen, half expecting it to be a phishing scam. But when I tried to log in again, access denied. 2 years of quiet contribution, clean code, airtight architecture, gone. The product I'd led from conception to beta just launched last week. Guess who's taking the credit? Marcus, my former team lead. He used to ask me to reword his reports so they'd be easier for the board to understand. Now he's the one shaking hands with the CTO on LinkedIn. I didn't cry. I didn't even call HR. I just closed the laptop and stared at the scarf hanging by my apartment door. Deep wine red, soft wool, frayed at the edges. My grandfather's. He gave it to me the day I left home with a promise. One day, they'll see. But that wasn't today. Today, I needed $100. The chill in Cincinnati was biting. 4th Street shimmered with frost as I tightened the scarf around my neck. My boots crunched faintly on the sidewalk, a rhythm only I noticed. I stepped through the tall glass doors of Maple and Fifth Bank, not to reclaim what was taken from me, but to help a neighbor. Mrs. Bellman, the sweet widow down the hall, had asked me quietly last night if I could spot her some grocery money. Her fridge was mostly condiments and baking soda. She laughed it off, like hunger was an inconvenience she could joke through. I told her yes before I even checked my balance. The bank smelled like money, not the physical kind, but that sterile, eucalyptus sanitized type that lingers in rich places. The floor was polished to an almost aggressive shine. People wore blazers that whispered, "Billable hour." I wore jeans that had seen better Decembers. Still, I held my head high. Then I heard it, that voice, like syrup poured over broken glass. Well, well, still using this branch, Sabrina. I turned. Slowly. There she was. Vanessa Lee, my sister. Hair perfectly waved, ivory coat tailored to within an inch of its fabric life. Behind her, a nervous young teller stood half a step back, holding a clipboard like a shield. "Didn't realize we were still serving walk-ins," Vanessa added, loud enough for others in line to turn. Her eyes flicked up and down my outfit like a scanner, especially not beggars. The word didn't echo. It landed, like a slap you weren't allowed to react to. I didn't respond, just met her gaze, still, calm. She leaned in, voice lower now. "Why don't you do us both a favor and take your little charity case elsewhere?" Behind me, someone stifled a cough. I could feel eyes burning into my back. I nodded, not because I agreed, but because I'd learned silence is sometimes the sharpest blade. I stepped out of line, past her, past the looks, past the shame. Outside, the air hit different. Not just cold, but clean. In the reflection of the bank's glass, I saw my face. Still mine. Still steady. That night, I pulled the scarf from my neck and folded it neatly on the table. I booted up an old laptop hidden under the couch. 3 logins, biometric, code, phrase. The interface was still clean. No logos. Just power. Shellcode 7. $3.5 billion in diversified assets. Built quietly. Protected fiercely. Hidden from everyone, especially family. "Hey," I said into the burner phone. "Reese, it's me. I'm pulling the lever." No questions, just silence. Then a quiet, "Understood." See, Vanessa didn't know the fund she'd been trying to onboard for years. The one her bank just barely secured liquidity rights for last quarter was mine. She'd signed onboarding papers herself, with a flourish. And now, I was the withdrawal. I remembered the Christmas party where she first called me a parasite. I wasn't even on the invite list. She made sure of it. I stood outside in the snow afterward, whispering, "One day." This was that day. I logged in and queued the withdrawal request. Not for $100, not for a few grand, for everything. The next morning, I dressed differently. Clean lines, neutral tones, hair pulled back. The receptionist at Maple and Fifth smiled politely as I approached. "I have an appointment," I said, sliding over a sleek black folio. "Shellcode Holdings." She blinked at the name, checked her screen, then blinked again. "Just one moment." From across the lobby, Vanessa spotted me. Her eyes narrowed like storm clouds behind designer lashes. She crossed the floor, fury in heels. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. "This isn't a charity. Whatever stunt you're pulling, stop." I didn't answer, just smiled. The receptionist looked up, her screen flashing red. "Ma'am," she said, voice tighter. "We're going to need the branch manager immediately." Vanessa grabbed the folio from her hands, flipped it open, and froze. Her face drained. She flipped another page, then another. Her voice was barely audible. "No, this isn't real." "It's very real," I said, my tone even. "And Vanessa, you've been working for me for years." If you've ever been overlooked after giving your all, type 1 in the comments, because sometimes silence doesn't mean weakness, it means you're loading the truth. The moment Vanessa saw the red flag on her branch terminal, her voice cracked. She had been mid-sentence, charming a regional investor by the coffee machine, her laugh a little too forced, her pearls a little too bright. The receptionist's screen blinked once, then again, flashing a status her training manual didn't cover: VIP override, executive level access, withdrawal pending, 3.5 BUSD. I stood across the marble lobby, perfectly still, not angry, not smug, just ready. Vanessa's heels clicked sharply as she stormed over. "You don't get to do this," she snapped. "Whatever this is, it ends now." I raised one eyebrow. "You might want to read page 3 again." She yanked the folio from the receptionist's trembling hands and started flipping, slower this time. Signatures, contracts, board letters. Ownership disclosures all tied to Shellcode Holdings. "This can't be real," she muttered. "This is some kind of joke, some hacker garbage." The branch manager appeared beside her, summoned by security. Gray suit, calm demeanor, the kind of man trained to speak in risk assessments. "Ms. Lee," he said, "this document is verified. Primary withdrawal request. Sensitive classification. You're listed here as a partnered entity, did you know?" Vanessa didn't answer. Her hands began to shake. Behind us, a few junior bankers had stood up, curiosity outweighing protocol. I let the silence stretch. Then I turned, softly but firmly. "You called me a beggar yesterday, publicly, loudly. The truth is, you've been working for me this entire time." A beat passed, then another. Vanessa stumbled backward. Her knees buckled. She actually dropped, to the floor. "Sabrina," she whispered, mascara smudging already. "Don't do this. Please. You don't understand what this will do to me. I have a child. I have a career." I didn't flinch. "You ruined yourself," I said evenly. "All I did was walk away and let you keep swinging. You hit yourself." The manager nodded once at the assistant, who locked the front doors. A security lockdown had been triggered, standard protocol for withdrawals this size. "Lobby is closed until compliance validation is complete," he informed. "You'll be escorted to the investor lounge momentarily." Inside the glass elevator, I didn't look back. Let them watch, let them wonder. But I wasn't here just to make a scene. I was here to finish what they started. That evening, I returned to my apartment and opened my second terminal, this one buried beneath a stack of cookbooks, hidden from any remote trace. The dashboard opened silently. Shellcode 7. $3.5 billion in assets spread across digital markets, eco-funds, and hard storage infrastructure. No public ownership record. Every signature encrypted. It had taken 2 years to build, 3 months to reroute through 5 countries, and 1 childhood of silence to make it necessary. I clicked through archived contracts, ones I'd let Clarissa sign without reading. She had used our father's death as an opportunity. Falsified a signature 2 weeks before his stroke. Redirected the family vineyard's deed into an offshore account. Dismantled a STEM scholarship endowment to fund a condo in Chicago. My hands hovered over the evidence. Then came a ping. New message, Carmen. "Data logs from Maple and Fifth. You were right. Attached, transaction chains, fake approval timestamps. Vanessa had known. Clarissa had covered. And Mother? Her signature authorized it all." I remembered the letter she once wrote me, the one she never sent. I saw what Clarissa did that summer with the lemonade stand. I didn't know how to protect both of you, so I protected none. Enough was enough. I drafted a family meeting invite for Friday night. Location, their favorite restaurant. Table, reserved under my name. Friday arrived fast. I walked into the restaurant alone. Black coat, dark folder under my arm. The hostess guided me to the back, where the chandelier lights gleamed like artificial warmth. First to arrive was Clarissa, Chanel earrings, fake smile confidence. "You look put together," she said, sitting across from me. "Meditating? Yoga?" Next came George, always just behind her, trailing like a shadow in khakis. Vanessa walked in last, face taut, makeup heavier than usual. "Whatever this is," she said, taking a seat farthest from me. "Let's just keep it civil." Then Mother. "My girls," she said like it was 1993 and none of this had happened. "Look at us. Together again." We exchanged polite lies over drinks. Then I placed the folder on the table and slid it open. "Did any of you ever wonder what happened to Grandfather's Pennsylvania Trust?" Clarissa's wineglass hovered. George blinked. Vanessa sat rigid. I pulled out the deed, stamped active, and beneath it, the scholarship misallocation report. Photos, transfers, emails, signatures, Clarissa's shell company, George's notarizations, Mother's retroactive approvals. Clarissa's voice broke. "You've always wanted to ruin us." "No," I cut in. "I wanted the truth. You handed me the proof." George cleared his throat, eyes avoiding mine. "We can fix this. You don't have to go public." I smiled gently. "It's already moving. Ethics blogs, internal review teams, whistleblowers. I didn't light the fire. You did." The table was silent. For once, they had nothing rehearsed to say. If you've ever watched someone twist the truth until it broke and wished you could show the receipts, type 2 in the comments. Because some audits don't need alarms, just silence, the kind that comes before collapse. The news hit the Financial Ethics Board like a thunderclap. The same bank that had just onboarded Shellcode Holdings was now under internal audit. The report didn't name names, but it didn't need to. The timestamps spoke louder than faces. The family signatures spoke louder than apologies. And I didn't give a single interview, didn't need to. The data did the talking. I was sitting on the balcony with a glass of wine when the call came. "Sabrina," Carmen said quietly. Vanessa just tried to access the executive back-end panel. I blocked her. I smiled into the dark, city lights twinkling beneath me like quiet applause. Of course she did. Clarissa had already resigned. George's legal license was suspended, pending investigation. The house of cards was folding, neatly, efficiently, no theatrics, exactly how I wanted it. The next morning a letter was slid under my door. No knock, no text, just there. The handwriting, I recognized instantly, my mother's. I didn't open it right away. I sat on the couch, the letter in my hand, feeling its weight like it was carved in stone. We hadn't truly spoken in years, not meaningfully. Her silence had been louder than any insult, but the envelope sat there, waiting. Finally, I unfolded it. "No, dear. No, I'm sorry." Just her voice in ink. "I saw what Clarissa did that summer with your lemonade stand. I said nothing. I didn't know how to protect both of you, so I protected neither." She confessed everything. That she knew the trust hadn't been dissolved, that she'd let George use her signature to reroute funds, that she thought keeping me out of it would keep me safe. "I'm not writing for forgiveness," she ended, "but I'm asking you to end the pattern. Don't become what hurt you." I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just remembered. Me, 10 years old, sitting under the oak tree with a notebook full of hand-drawn pie charts and kindness coupons. My grandfather had looked at me, all gap-toothed smile and messy hair, and said, "Let her build. She'll surprise you." Friday evening arrived like a warning. Crisp wind, gray sky. My coat buttoned to the collar. I walked through the gate of our old estate like it owed me answers. Inside, the sound of laughter floated from the dining hall. Clarissa was entertaining again. Always the same script. Bubbly charm, curated vulnerability, fake investors, real money. I didn't knock. I walked straight in. Forks paused. Wine glasses stopped midair. Clarissa blinked. Well, this is unexpected. I set a thick folder on the buffet, looked calmly across the room. If I may, I'd like to make a small withdrawal of the truth. I opened the folder. One by one, the pages came out. The original Pennsylvania Trust, unedited. The forged amendment, signed 2 weeks before our father's stroke. Deeds of transfer to shell companies. Bank logs showing misuse of the STEM endowment. Clarissa's hand trembled around her champagne flute. You always wanted to be the victim, didn't you? I turned to her slowly. I wanted to be seen. You wanted me erased. Her voice cracked. You don't know everything. Mom gave me permission. No, she didn't. Not that day. She was in Zurich, in surgery. Gasps, chairs scraping. One uncle muttered something about disgrace before walking out. A cousin from Vermont set down his fork and stared at the table like it had betrayed him. Mother didn't say a word, but she didn't stop me either. Then came the final piece. A signed letter, 6 weeks old, retracting her previous approvals. I closed the folder. This house, I said quietly, has 2 doors. One was always closed to me. Today, I choose the other. Clarissa shot up. You're not really planning to sell it, are you? The land? The legacy? I looked at her for a long moment. You already sold it, I replied. Piece by piece. You just didn't get paid. I walked out, didn't slam the door, didn't say goodbye, just left it all there. Outside, a young man stood on the sidewalk. No camera, just a notebook. Ms. Lee, he said, someone thought you should be heard, just thought you should know. 1 week later, I sat alone on a park bench beneath the old oak tree. Same one from the photo. Same breeze. In my lap, a faded blue savings book from my childhood. Inside, tucked at the back, a small note in my grandfather's hand. For the youngest, because she has the biggest heart, use it when they forget who you are. I smiled. Not a big one. Just the kind that settles when something finally clicks. This was the real withdrawal. Not the billions, not the shares. It was me, my name, my voice, my worth. I walked across the lawn to a low steel and glass building with a new sign on the front. My nonprofit's name, etched clean. Today I wasn't showing up with fear. I was showing up with ownership. If you've ever walked away not with revenge, but with clarity, type 3 in the comments. Because sometimes the loudest statement is walking away, with everything they thought you didn't have.